All right, guys, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Let's see. All right, so tonight I'm going to be talking about the do's and don'ts of libertarian campaigning, how to sugarcoat libertarianism for Democrats and Republicans, because realistically, those are most of the voters. They're either, even if they're not Democrats and Republicans, they're progressives and conservatives and those types of people. So we need to figure out how to get our message across to them, because without their votes, we're not going to win anything. So, sorry, that was from last time. This is me. Just want to introduce myself again. I grew up in Los Angeles, worked in IT, software, and video production, and I studied marketing and advertising for a while. So I bring a little bit of that to the libertarian voting campaign. And a couple of years ago, I ran a $5,000 campaign while working a full-time job and was able to get 23% of the votes in a small local state house election. You'll see a lot of these webinars where they say, this webinar is not like anything else. Well, they're all the same. They get to the end and they try and sell you something. So I'm just going to get this right out there at the front and say that this presentation is brought to you by me. I'm actually doing web development for candidates and their campaigns. It's what I do professionally for businesses, small businesses, anything from restaurants to lawyers and professionals. But I'm offering the service at something like 90% off to libertarian candidates, because that's kind of my contribution to the campaign. I can't do it for absolutely free. I'm doing it kind of in my spare time as it is, and I'm sure there's going to be a wait list. But if you're interested in getting a website done for your campaign, you can email me at dan@danfortexas.org. You can call me at the number there, 956-335-3350. Toplocal.marketing is the company that I produce websites with. So let's get right into it. And I promise there's no more sales after this. So this is unlike every other webinar. All right. First, a disclaimer. I'm going to be going over a bunch of rules. The following rules do not apply in closed company, but practice them anyway. Basically, these rules are going to tell you how you can talk to people who are not libertarians. Of course, we can still say the things that we say to each other as libertarians because we understand exactly what we're saying. The problem is when you say things to people who are not libertarians, who don't understand libertarianism completely, they completely misinterpret it and they hear the wrong thing. I'm going to break some of the rules during this presentation so you can see how arrogant it sounds. I'm not sure if I will or not, but I probably will. I don't know all the answers. I want to inspire you to come up with some of them on your own. So just think about some of these concepts and see how you can apply them to your own campaign, see how you can come up with your own ideas and share them with the party and share them with other candidates, so that we can all benefit from them and we can all start moving the party even. I mean, we're already growing in momentum, but let's grow it even faster. So our current strategy doesn't work. People think we hate the poor, we hate the sick. Our plan is to remove all the roads, kill the economy, make babies work in coal mines for 5 cents an hour, 30 hours per day without masks, and give special privilege to the wealthy elite, and just watch the world burn. Someone posted this the other day. I don't know what it is, frog people or something. I don't know if they're offering a gift of whatever that is or if they're trying to throw them at them, but they're they're trying to convey a message to these people, and they're like, what the hell is this? And they're running away. That's kind of what us libertarians do. What we say is not what they hear. There's the internet is full of this stuff, really bad translations from especially Chinese and other languages, where the translation is completely off. When we say things, we understand it as libertarians, but we're not always aware that the people who are hearing it are hearing something completely different. And we have to be conscious of that, because really what we're doing is just like that last picture before. We're chasing away voters because they don't understand what we're getting at. They have their own interests, and we need to, if we want to welcome them into our party, which is going to benefit them, we need to let them see how that is going to benefit their interests, which at this time they think can only be solved by Republicans and Democrats. So this is kind of like an overview of some of the rules. People don't care about politics and don't want to get involved. So talking about politics and all that stuff is really difficult with a lot of people. They just want, what's in it for me. For many of them, their involvement includes 5 minutes to watch TV and pick a candidate. They're not picking based on their policies. They're basically just saying, I like that guy. He seems fun. Sorry, let me just, oops. I just wanted to stop for a second and make sure the sound was working on this. So libertarians work through grassroots and word of mouth, since the media largely omits us. So we need to figure out ways that, since we're working with people individually, that we can get these messages across in short periods of time, which means we've got, it's the elevator pitch. You've got 30 seconds to get somebody sold on an idea. And this word of mouth doesn't work if we're offending people in those 30 seconds. Some of these are more important than others. Some of these are more obvious. I'm talking about the do's and don'ts that I'm about to get into. Some of them you're going to say, yeah, that's pretty obvious. Some of them you might already be doing. They're not in any particular order, and they're not solid rules, so feel free to use them loosely, to change them if you need to adapt them, to create new ones. But the idea is basically the same as this concept here, where we need to figure out a way to convey our message to people where it's acceptable to everybody. Oops. All right. So one thing we need to do is we need to start telling people we are here to help. Basically, our message comes across to a lot of people as, we want to get rid of the government, right? So, or we don't want to help the poor. We want to get rid of all the social programs. That's how people hear us. All right. So what we need to do is kind of take our message and say, government was created to help people, right? In one form or another. Even the minarchist libertarians will say that, that government is there to protect people's property and protect people's rights, which is the smallest form of government you can possibly get. So when people are voting, they're voting for someone who's going to solve a problem, whatever that problem is. To some people, that problem is immigration, or it's the economy. It's the fact that people are in debt, up to their eyeballs in debt with college loans, whatever it is. These are problems, and they want to elect people who are going to solve these problems. When a libertarian says, we just want to get rid of the government, in their head, that doesn't solve any problems. So we have to figure out, how do we convey to them that this actually does solve those problems. And you'll also notice that a lot of these candidates, they're not telling you their solutions. They're simply just saying, this is what the problem is, and I have a solution, but they won't really tell you what it is. People are afraid of change as much as they chant for it. We are change. We are, we want change you can believe in, all this kind of stuff. They want change in government, but they're afraid to change themselves, which is a huge problem for us, because a lot of people are basically dependent on the government in some form, whether it's, whether it's some sort of social welfare, or whether it's the police or the roads or anything else. They're dependent on government, and they don't want to have to change the way that they think. They just want government to change to cater to them and all the things that they want. We always talk about the problem, but our solutions are perceived that they will create more problems. This is kind of the same thing. We're basically telling them what we want to do, and they're like, wait, the roads are going to disappear, right? So we're doing a bad job there. Changing the words we use and some of our actions will help people see that we actually are here to help. And that's really what we need to do. We need to stop being, we're going to take government away from you. We need to say, look, we want to help you. We're going to help you by getting government out of your way. And so these rules that I'm about to get, these do's and do nots that I'm about to get into, are basically going to take you from how we are saying that now to a way that we can say it that sounds much better to other people. So first of all, don't be an absolutist or a purist. We were not going to achieve a libertarian paradise overnight. It's just not going to happen. We scare people when we talk to them about unplugging the whole system all at once. If we did that, there would be chaos. So not like anarchy chaos. Anarchy is not chaos, for those who are still thinking that, but the type of chaos where like people are just going crazy and running all over the place. That will happen if we just unplug the system. That's a bad idea. What we need to do is we need to get people into a pattern of not depending on the system so that we can start taking away those things one at a time. Also, we have to look at the fact that it's really just practically impossible because of so many people who want the system. We have people who want an authoritative government because they can't manage their own lives. And if we take that away from them, everything's like they're not going to know how to manage their own lives. So before we can take that away, we need to figure that out. So I see a lot of people. I see a lot of people who are, they don't like certain things that some of the libertarian candidates say because they're not purist. Oh, he doesn't want to legalize marijuana. He just wants to regulate it. Well, you know what? We have to take stepping stones. We're not just going to unplug the system. It's not only is that a bad idea, but we're not going to get anybody to accept it. So we really need to, go down the slippery slope, if you will, and we need to make slow, gradual changes. The way we got here to this totalitarian government that we have is through a slow erosion of our rights. We're not going to get back to where we were before overnight. We need to do this, and that requires compromise. Banning governments is as effective as banning guns. One thing that with banning guns, we say, but the criminals will still have guns. That's the same thing with government. If we were to just ban government and get rid of it, there will be people who want it and they will create their own. Now, that government might not be accepted by everybody, and so it might not have so much power, but we have to understand that that same concept is there. So in doing so, we have to come up with some of these ideas where we can say, look, here's a thing, you can call it, government. It doesn't have absolute force over us. It can't use coercion to make us pay its taxes, but you still have police, you still have fire department. And so we need to figure out a way to basically create government services to replace actual government services and find ways that people can fund them without using force and coercion and theft. So do compromise. By the way, that picture there is to, what they say, Rome wasn't built in a day, Rome wasn't destroyed in a day. It is a libertarian fantasy to just say the government will be gone tomorrow. We have to fight for it. We have to fight hard. We have to fight hard. We have to strategize, and we have to take it down piece by piece in a way that's not going to totally make everything go crazy. We have to be willing to compromise. We can't change one thing unless we start getting elected. We're not going to get elected if we keep saying we're going to do this libertarian paradise overnight. Let's take a couple things and focus on it. The drug war is a big one. The police misconduct is another big one. Taxes are another. Like, even if we say we're not going to get rid of taxes, we're going to simplify the tax code. Even if we say we're going to replace it with the fair tax, a lot of libertarians don't like these ideas because they're not purist 100% libertarian ideas. But we have to accept the fact that we're not going to get elected with those purist ideas. If we want to get in, once we get in there, we can fight with the Democrats and Republicans who are elected, and we can argue over how fast we can go that route. But it's not going to happen immediately. A little less is better than no less. If we're not getting elected because we're trying to go 100%, then let's soften the blow. Let's get in there and let's start changing things so people can start to see, hey, this is acceptable. I already feel like I'm going to get a lot of feedback on this about how I'm not a total libertarian because of this, but believe me, if you know me personally, I'm extremely libertarian. Do not attack other candidates. I saw this go up the other day. This is a big do not. You will lose loyal supporters. Somebody posted this on their Facebook page, and the comments underneath it, if you can see those, people are saying this is lame. Screw the LP. You guys don't like Trump. You're the chumps. Trump 2016. All this did was piss off Trump voters. This didn't get anybody to say, hey, I'm going to vote for the Libertarian. This did absolutely nothing for us. So whatever you do not attack other candidates. Even if they attack you, do not attack them. Do get other candidates to attack you. Engage them on social media. Provoke them if you can without attacking them. Get them to argue with you on social media. Do not get combative. Never tell them they're wrong. If we can, figure out a way to get the media to ask them about us. In doing so, they say our name, we become popular. And I mean, that's basically how it works. If you look at the three people here, who's the most attacked person in the Republican Party? Trump. And where is he? At the front. Who's the most attacked person in the Democrat Party? I haven't seen I know there are people attacking Hillary, but for the most part, I see people attacking Bernie Sanders, and he is. I can't really call him a front runner, but he's a lot further than he is now because people have been attacking him. He's pretty much neck and neck with Hillary. Austin Peterson. I don't know why so many libertarians hate him, but whether you like him or not, people are attacking him, and because of that, that's actually increasing his appearance in social media, which honestly is good for the party. So that's not something I'm going to complain about. The next one: do not tell them your plan. You don't go to a car dealership saying, "Yeah, that's the car I want to buy," looking at this picture. When people see this, they hear all the plan. It's too complicated. Like I said, they want the elevator pitch. They want to hear your plan in 30 seconds and that's it. They don't want to know the details. That's the problem with libertarianism as a whole is, yeah, let's get rid of taxes. Let's get rid of the police. Let's privatize everything. That's how it sounds in 30 seconds. And, people sometimes they'll poke and dig around and if you don't come out and say that, that's what they'll hear after they poke around. And so that's a huge problem for us because this is, nobody wants this, right? And so when they hear, oh, your plan is to get rid of government, they don't want that either. So we need to figure out a better way to do that. What we can do is what the TV shows do. Leave them wanting more. We can tell them, look, we're going to fix these problems. We're going to fix these problems. We're going to fix these problems. If you look at Bernie Sanders, he does that. He was, it took him a long time of running his campaign before he was finally on one show where they asked him, okay, what is your actual tax plan? How much are you going to raise taxes? And even then he said, well, that's something we're going to look at. And, they kept digging. Well, isn't that something you've been looking at? Isn't that your whole platform based on you should know how much to raise taxes? And he wouldn't say it. Well, that goes into the game theory strategy of don't answer the question because it's probably going to piss off too many people. Whatever you actually say is your plan. So I'm not saying to hide things from people, but what I am saying is give them some suspense, give them something to talk about. Let them talk about it on TV. If you have people speculating, in the media about what your plan is, as long as you can create buzz about what the solution is that nobody else is offering, that's going to be good for you as a candidate or for the party as a whole. Do not be a dictator. I see this a lot. Libertarians want to come in and say the world must learn of our peaceful ways by force. We're going to shut down the government, and I'm just going to go in there and I'm going to unplug. It really sounds like we're going to violently take government away from people. We can't do that. It's aggressive in a way that people get defensive about it and they don't want anything to do with it. We have great ideas. Let's not force them on people. There's a lot of things that we can do where we can, like the police thing where we privatize police. If we can set an example of that, if we can start to cut away some of the protections that police have so that there isn't so much misconduct, if we can, whatever we can do, these are just some examples, but whatever we can do to slowly, gradually push people into this direction, that's the direction we need to go. Trump doesn't tell people to get out and build a wall, right? He's not telling people you're gonna go out and do this. He says, I'm going to do it for you, right? Sanders doesn't tell people to go out and pay for other people's college. He tells people, I'm going to pay for your college, right? So he's not telling these people that you're going to have to go out and do this, right? But the libertarian message is you're going to have to police yourself. You're going to have to get your own job and work hard and do all this other stuff. We're going to take away your welfare. So even if you're disabled, you're going to have to work and provide for yourself. It's very it is very dictatorial the way that we're saying it, and we need to basically soften that message so that it's more acceptable to people. Do offer solutions. We can fix the economy. We can create jobs. Yes, we can. We can do all this stuff. We can tell them that we can do all this stuff. And yes, we can do this by shrinking the size of government, but we don't need to tell them that, because that's when they start hearing, oh, you're going to take everything away from me that I've paid all my taxes for. No, we're going to make things better for you, but you need to elect us and let us show you how we're going to do that. Do not attack the government. That's basically the same thing. When you attack the government, they hear you're going to take the roads away from me. You're going to take everything away from me. You're attacking something specific that they're hearing as, this is something that's mine that you want to take away. What you can do that is very similar to this is attack the system, which is what Bernie Sanders does. He doesn't say exactly what the problem is. I mean, he points out some of the things about corruption and the rich elite and all this other stuff, but it's really a lot of rhetoric. But what's important to notice in the distinction between what he does and when you attack the government is he's saying you can keep your government, but I'm going to fix the problems. So he's not taking anything away from you. He's just solving your problems, which is that's the one thing we keep going back to is we have to be problem solvers. People want to elect problem solvers. Do not attack welfare. The first thing they hear is, why do you hate the poor? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to take everybody's welfare away? Okay, so this is an interesting one because the welfare right now is already paid for by government. Well, we used to have private charities to do all this, and they did a much better job. Ever since the war on poverty has actually gone up ever since the government got involved in that. So what we can do is we can say, look, we can attack poverty itself. Poverty is wrong. People shouldn't be starving in the streets of America. This is we need to fix this problem. This is a problem that we can fix. As libertarians, we can fix this, right? And if people ask, we have plans for this. This is privatizing charity and all this other stuff. We can create incentives to make this happen, to make this happen better. But we want to help people become self-sufficient, so they don't need welfare. People who don't have jobs, we want to help them find jobs so that they can help the economy and all this other stuff. We need to focus on that part of the message. And again, we don't have to get into the specifics of we're going to do that by taking away government, which is actually going to create jobs. But we need to let them know, look, we do feel for the poor and we do want to help them, but making them addicted to government handouts is not ultimately helping them. We want to teach them how to fish, not give them a fish. We want to support nonprofits for helping homeless. We want to stop police from shutting down food lines and kicking out campers. We want to make it easier to start nonprofit charities. All these these are just ideas. We can talk about creating self-sustainable food networks in areas where even if you're homeless, there's parks where you can go and pick food. Any of these types of things, these are libertarian at the core, and we really just need to see, like, can we start doing these? And I'm just throwing ideas out here. Is there any way we can start doing things like this so that people can see that, yes, it is possible. And then if government starts attacking us like they are already doing for the food lines and the camping, then we need to point that out, and we need to say we're going to put an end to that, because right now the Democrats and Republicans aren't. Why isn't the federal government coming in and saying, protecting people's rights who are being basically kicked out of their homes by the police because they're in a place in the middle of the night that's really not even bothering anybody. I don't know too much about the civil rights law and all that other stuff, but that seems like that could be an issue. And why is nobody doing anything about this? We can attack that, and in that way we're on the side with the poor and the less fortunate, and we don't sound like these demons that are just saying, just let them out, let them on their own, right? So we need to figure out a way to do that. The next one, do not attack social welfare. Same thing as before. You sound like you hate the poor. This is I'm talking about all the social programs. We don't want to say let's get rid of them overnight, because people are already dependent on that. People who have paid into Social Security all their lives, and they're now 80 years old and disabled, they're not going to be able to just get out there and get another job. And their retirement money is basically already gone because they've trusted in this system. We need to figure out a way that, we can deal with this type of situation. And it might be that, we make Social Security optional now, where younger kids don't have to pay into it and they can put it into their own retirement fund. If they want to and they really trust the government, they can put it into the Social Security fund. We need to end people, taking Social Security money out of the fund for other purposes. All these types of things, which, realistically, the Social Security system as a whole should be its own unit that should be completely independent from government. People have been putting money into it. These are the types of things we need to attack. Stop stealing money from Social Security to use on these other government programs. And when we say that, we're actually helping the poor. Not to mention, and this gets into the do attack corporate welfare. Corporate welfare, I've seen different numbers all over the place, is anywhere from 5 to 50 times as much as the social welfare programs. And this is either because the government's giving money to companies or they're giving them huge tax deductions. Now, of course, as libertarians, we say, yeah, everybody's tax deductions should be 100% and we should, be paying zero. That really doesn't matter. We can say that, there's a huge amount of money being given to corporations, however they're getting it. And some of it is cash payments, and that is much, much, much larger than what all the social programs are doing. So let's even stand up in defending the social programs by saying stop stealing from them, and maybe isolate it into a way to where it can be privatized at some point. And let's attack the corporate welfare and the corporations who are stealing all this money from taxpayers and however which way they're getting it. Do not attack the minimum wage. I know a lot of people, a lot of voters, young voters, they want to vote for someone. They want to fix the problem that they work for minimum wage and life is hard. I've worked for minimum wage in the past. I know it's hard. It's not supposed to be easy, but you can't convince, 18, 19, even 25-year-olds that, hey, maybe it's time to get a better job. You sound like an insensitive asshole when you say that. And, especially to us, we've been there. I mean, I don't know. I don't have kids, so I can't say, but I know I was a kid, and anything my parents told me, I was always like, yeah, you're wrong. Like, I'll find some other way to do it. Right. So we have to consider that when we're talking to people who have minimum wage jobs and we say we want to get rid of minimum wage, what they're hearing is you want to cut my paycheck in half, and we're losing voters. We can't do that. Even though the minimum wage is fundamentally wrong, we need to figure out a way that we can basically say, look, we want you guys to vote for us because, and how can we do that? And one way we can do that is offer them more money. This is not a minimum wage increase. Okay. This is what we need to do is we need to look at a few things here. $15 an hour, which is what some people want. They're going to increase taxes, right? So under some of these plans, they might get the same paycheck, right? They're going to be making more, but they're going to be paying higher taxes, and they might be getting fewer hours because, and their hours might drop to zero because their employers can't, they're just switching to automation, all this other stuff, right? Let's not even talk about this because that's basically, we're not psychic, so we don't know this for a fact, right? Quote unquote. Even though it's basic economics, people don't understand this. They don't want to believe it. What we can do is we can say, okay, look, if you're making $15 or less, let's exclude you from any kind of payroll tax, right? So your employers don't have to pay payroll tax on you, which means that, that's that means that they're going to be spending less, which means, hey, we can offer our employees more, right? And also the money that you get. I mean, when you look at the amount of taxes that comes out of a minimum wage paycheck, I remember when I was doing it, it was almost half. And especially like when I included the payroll taxes and uninsured, what's it called? Unemployment insurance, all that other stuff. More than half of my check was gone by the time I got it. We can double their paycheck by getting rid of taxes and leaving their wage at leaving the minimum wage at the same point, at least, and cutting the taxes. So this is two things. One, it doesn't increase the minimum wage, which is something we're all about. And number two, it lowers tax. It makes people pay less taxes, which is something else that we're all about. Let's put this together. Let's not say we want to get rid of your minimum wage because it sounds like we want to throw people out on the street. Let's say we have a different way to put more money in your pocket. This is how we're going to do it. People making minimum wage will get behind this because at the end of the day, it's that, it's the It's the childish thought process of, I want more money and I don't want to do more for it. Well, this is your way to do it. I mean, realistically, they are earning more than they, that's the complaint. My time is worth more than this. Yeah, your time is worth more than that. It's worth what your employer wants to pay you, but you're not getting that much money because the government's stealing half of it, right? So these are some, libertarian things that we can do. We can start workshops. I've been trying to figure out how to do this in my neighborhood and get people interested who basically, there are some people who want to get better jobs. They just don't know what they want to do with their lives. Let's figure out ways to help people find those. Let's actually help our brothers and sisters and make the world a better place, which is ultimately, I mean, if everybody in the world is miserable except for you, your libertarian paradise isn't going to be that wonderful anyway, right? So there's not going to be innovation. There's not going to be people helping around you. You're not going to be in an environment where people treat you well, and that you run into all these other things. Making everyone else, bringing everybody else up with you in your community is really going to help, and it's going to give them less of a reason to want government. So that, if you take away the need and the want for government, then it, at some point people are going to stop voting for more of it because they're going to say, hey, my life's already great. So let's figure out a way to get people in, basically bring people into the party and say, we're going to make life better for you, and we're going to help you in all kinds of ways. We're going to show you all these things. Do not attack taxes on the rich. You can attack taxes on the poor and say, we're going to give you more money. But when you start saying, oh yeah, we want these kind of taxes and this is what people see. They see some rich guy with tons and tons of money not paying taxes, and then the poor guy at the bottom saying, not having any money to pay taxes in the first place. This is counterproductive. Even though we're saying we want to cut taxes across the board for everybody, this is what they hear, right? They already want to increase taxes on the rich and charge the hell out of them. Just don't even say it. Stay away from it if you can, because that's what they hear. It's counterproductive, and it makes people hate us. Do attack taxes on the poor. Same thing as the minimum wage thing. Let's get rid of the taxes that they're paying. Let's not make them pay taxes so that they get to keep more of their paycheck. Do not attack Trump or Hillary. All you're doing is giving them more attention, and people who like them are going to hate you, and they're going to think, you don't know what you're talking about. If you say something bad about Hillary, they're going to think you support Trump, which means they're really going to hate you. If you say something bad about Trump, they're going to think you support Hillary or Bernie, and they're really going to hate you. Whatever you do, do not attack these guys. Do attack the wealthy elite. This is a strategy that's working for Bernie Sanders. He doesn't name a single person that I've heard where he says this particular person, is bad. He says there are corrupt people, the wealthy elite. We need to attack them. We need to do something about them. I can't even tell. I mean, I've heard him talk quite a few times. I don't even know what his plan is. All he says is screw these people, and that's working for him. Let's do that. I mean, do we like the people who are ripping off people with all these corrupt bank scams? No. Do we like all these corrupt politicians? No. So let's attack them, but not by name. This kind of goes back to attacking the system versus attacking the government. We can attack the wealthy elite and their corruption without attacking them individually as people. Once we start getting people into office, then we can start going after our actual targets. Do not attack the police. Who's going to keep us safe, right? Same thing, not all cops are bad. It's only a few bad apples. These are kind of responses you get when you say the police are taking away our rights. They're shooting innocent people and all this other stuff. It doesn't work. Do not attack the police. Do attack police misconduct. Okay, so we have to be very careful with this one, and this is one that I've been struggling with for a while. It's still very difficult. It's walking on eggshells, because as soon as you say you want to do one thing, people hear you hate all police, right? So here's just some ideas. Offer plans to reduce police misconduct and abusive practices. Again, it sounds like, oh, you're going to restrict the police. They're not going to be able to do their jobs. Cutting monetary incentives. Let's get rid of the policing for profit schemes. Let's get rid of the private prisons, all this other stuff. Misconduct lawsuits are costing the taxpayers a lot of money. Let's stop allowing the cops to do this misconduct that's costing so much money. Police are focusing on petty crimes while rapists and murderers run free. There's um, there are much bigger problems in here that we can attack than just saying, let's throw a blanket over all of the police. Let's if they commit a crime, let's prosecute them equally as if they were any other citizen. Let's end the war on drugs. These types of things are going to help us grow with the minorities right now. I hear so many times that the Libertarian Party is just a bunch of old white people, which is kind of true. It's we need to get more minorities into our party. For some reason, they're afraid of us. We do have a few, but I feel like most of the ones that I've talked to, they think that it's basically just another copy of the Republican Party that hates minorities, which is not the case at all. And this goes back to everything that we've said before. Whether we don't hate anybody except maybe corrupt politicians and makers, but people hear that when we say the things that we say. So this is why it's really important to change our message. Do not attack the Federal Reserve. Nobody even knows what it is, and they don't care about it. So whenever you talk about it, they just think you're some crazy conspiracy theorist. I mean, really, like, for all they know, it doesn't even exist. The government prints the money, and the Federal Reserve that's printed, that just means it's some reserve that the government has. Like, it doesn't help to attack the Federal Reserve. That does absolutely nothing for us. Do attack the money we give them for nothing. We print our own money at the Treasury, and we pay the Fed. I looked this up. It's $300 billion every year in interest. This is just interest to the Federal Reserve, I believe. This is how much we're paying them so that we can print our own money and put their name on it. Like, we're basically paying them a licensing fee for their name. This makes absolutely no sense at all. Tell the taxpayers, imagine what we could do with an extra $300 billion every year. We don't have to tell them we're going to give them that money, or maybe we will in the form of lower taxes. We're not going to spend it on government programs. We don't have to tell them what we're going to do with it. Just put that seed in their head. Let them imagine what the government or what they could do with $300 billion. I mean, let them imagine that we're going to open NASA back up, or whatever it is. But attacking the Federal Reserve the old way doesn't work. Let's go after this. Let's tell them there's a $300 billion a year leak in the federal government, and all we have to do to plug it up is print our own money. Do not attack road taxes. People love their roads. This is just that's you guys know. Okay, so do attack tax misappropriation, right? So instead of saying we're going to take away the money that's going to pay for the roads, let's say, no, let's do some of these other things. The federal government, oh no, actually this is, I think this was combined from the federal government and all 50 states. They collect $19 billion per year from gasoline tax alone. That doesn't include registration. That doesn't include traffic tickets and parking, like none of that stuff, just the gasoline tax. That's $52 million per day. Okay, that's more than enough to spend on all these roads that they want to do. Okay, this is like, they talk about not having enough money for roads. The money's there. The problem is they're taking this money and spending it on other things, right? So we can reduce the cost by allowing more competitive bids, right? Right now, basically, one company has a friend in Congress, and he says, yeah, I want to build all your roads. And his friend says, oh yeah, I'll make sure you get the contract, right? So the guy says, oh, well, if it's a guarantee, let me jack the price up 100 times. That's what's going on now. Let's allow more competitive bids. Let's, whatever it is, somehow get the public involved. I know this is not getting rid of these taxes, which is, the ultimate goal of, whether you're an anarchist or even a minarchist might want to get rid of a lot of these taxes. It's not there all the way, but at least we're starting to get people into that mode of, okay, like, let's see, first of all, if we can figure out a way to cut how much it costs, we're going to save a lot of money, which means we can at least start lowering those taxes. And then once all these roads are built, maybe we can lower them even more. Maybe we can start popping up a toll road here or there that pays for itself. And as soon as it's paid for, we shut down the tolls, and we make sure they shut down, because I know how the government loves to set up a toll road and make people pay for it and tell them once the loan is paid off, we'll shut down the toll booths, but they never do. So let's start shutting some of those down. Let's start making the system make a lot more sense. I'm getting ahead of myself there. Do not attack taxes as a whole. Okay, if your hatred for taxes is why you have potholes. People hear the same thing. When you take away the taxes, that's why there's potholes in the roads. They don't connect the fact that they're already paying those taxes and they still have potholes in the roads, right? Do attack the IRS. I don't know what I was typing there. I think I meant to say tax law complexity there. We can simplify the tax code, right? There's misconduct and abuse within the IRS. Everything from their SWAT teams to the way that they audit and their collection practices and all this other stuff. We can fix a lot of these problems. Simplifying the tax code alone is not only going to save people money and make their taxes easier to understand, but that's going to take us one step closer to not letting the government abuse us by saying oh wait, section blah blah blah, and then they find some little tax code that nobody knows about because there's 50 billion pages of it. We need to simplify all that. If we can't get rid of it, let's at least compromise and simplify it so that we can move forward. We can start lowering taxes, we can cut government expense, and we can start moving forward towards that goal that we're trying to get to. Do not ask for the welfare recipients to take drug tests. This, I know a lot of people are, they're like, oh, well, if they're on drugs, they shouldn't be getting it, which, okay, may or may not be true, especially in their eyes. But there's a few things to look at here. And this is one that keeps popping up. People always want to do this drug test thing. It doesn't work. For one, it pisses people off. It alienates people. It makes them not like us. It goes against our principles of privacy, even though they're getting something in exchange for it. So it is voluntary. It doesn't work. There was, I think it was Florida and some other states. They basically did some testing. They spent over $1 million doing drug tests. Only 0.12, not even barely over 0.1% tested positive, and the amount that they saved by not giving them benefits was less than the amount they spent on testing. Now, I don't know if these people beat these tests somehow or if they just weren't on drugs because maybe they were older people and whatever it was. It doesn't work. Do ask people to help in return. This was done. I put a note in here to tread lightly because some people will get offended by this. But there was a test done in Maine, and I want to say there were a couple other states. In Maine, 70% of the people who were not disabled who were receiving welfare benefits, basically, they were told you're going to be doing community service in exchange for this welfare check. 70% of them dropped out. So that means that this program really, really, really works. Those 70 people went and got jobs, basically, which is great because we're not spending that 70% of that money on of that tax money on welfare problems for people who can actually go get jobs. This is, sorry, I'm going to take a sip of water real quick. This is really important because we're not saying we're just going to take away the welfare programs. We are saying if you're able to work, go to work. Don't be a leech without being so offensive about it. And the best part is it costs almost nothing to implement it, especially compared to drug testing and all this other stuff. Do not attack the post office. Mail, why not just send it over on a dinosaur? People love their mail. So much so that they like people collect stamps. I don't take that offensively if you do. I used to when I was a kid. But I mean, people love the post office. It's like there's a nostalgia about it. There's the propaganda of the I was looking for the guy, the mailman with the thumbs up delivering the mail, all that kind of stuff. Do fight for better mail. okay, I got into a discussion with somebody who actually I think was a libertarian and disagreed with me on this just because he didn't know. We need to fight for FedEx and USP. Okay, my spelling's a little off there. For their right to deliver letters. People don't know that there's actually a federal law that says it is a crime punishable by imprisonment to deliver letters for somebody. Okay. UPS and FedEx are not allowed to deliver letters. They have those big envelopes. Those are considered parcels. There's also an exemption for extremely urgent letters. So they're allowed to do overnight mail, but they're not allowed to deliver letters. It is a federal crime. Thanks in part to Lysander Spooner, who basically created a model for a post office that was more efficient. I think it was less than half the cost to mail a letter, and it got there faster than the post office. This was like 100-something years ago. And because of that, the post office basically, hey, we can't compete with that guy. Let's put him out of business by making a law and making it a crime of what he's doing, right? That's exactly what they did. Forget about the fact that there's something in the Constitution about not writing ex post facto laws, and he was already in business. Forget about that. So yeah, let's fight for some of these rights for some of these, some of these big corporations, to have their right to engage in more competition like this. Let's make the post office balance its budget. Someone told me they finally did balance it out, but I've heard people arguing that there's post offices in the middle of nowhere that are basically they cost a lot to operate, and they're like in little rural towns where they have one customer that stops by every month, and they're paying employees to operate the place, and they're not making any money. Whether we do like there are a million ways to solve that problem, and if we can do that, if we can get the USPS to balance their budget, well then hey, that's great. Either we take that money and use that money to fund other parts of government, or maybe we have this little secret plan to IPO the post office and allow competition. I mean, obviously that first law is going to allow competition by allowing other companies to compete. But maybe we turn it into a public corporation and put it onto the stock market, whatever we can do. Maybe we do 350 million shares and every American citizen gets one for free as part of their retirement plan. Hey, whatever. I don't know. There's some other ideas that we can come up with, and there's plenty we can do with that. Anyway, so that's really the end of this list. I went a little bit over the half hour that I was shooting for, but I did stay under an hour this time. So awesome. Think about these things and try to come up with some of your own ideas. Send them to me. If you have any questions, you can email me. Campaign smarter, not harder. That one I did on purpose. Okay. So basically, let's stop chasing these voters away. They have issues too. Our issues are, I want to start a business and not have the government in my way. Their issues are completely different. And because of that, libertarianism doesn't completely work for them, or not in the elevator pitch version. So, once they get more involved with it and they understand it better and they understand the morality, the moral issue with taxation and all this other stuff. By the way, taxation is theft. If you know me, I've been saying that for the last 2 weeks constantly. So I had to throw one in there. We need to get people to understand how this is going to help them. And if all we say is we're going to get rid of government, get government out of the way, and that's all we're saying, then all we're going to do is tell people like, hey, you're getting rid of something I want. One other thing I came up with today was or this was someone else's, but the government is great at breaking your legs and selling you crutches. Yeah. So if you look at that analogy, the Republicans want to take your crutches away. The Democrats want to sell you a automatic robotic wheelchair, and the libertarians want you to learn how to walk again. So really it's, our philosophy does help everybody, but we need to address the fact that the way we say it sounds extremely threatening to most of the people that we talk to. So just keep thinking about that, keep coming up with these ideas, send them to me, share them with other libertarians. Again, if you are running a campaign, you need a website, give me a call or send me an email or message me on Facebook. My name again is Dan Berman, and let me just throw this last slide back up here again so you can see it. There we go. So if you need to, you can give me a call there. You can email me there. You can find me under Dan. Actually, I think it's Daniel, Daniel Berman on Facebook. My Facebook name is facebook.com/Dan for Texas. So you can find me there also. And I'll be doing another one of these again soon. And I hope to see you there.